Grand Theft Auto Trilogy on the Switch.
The definitive edition.
Grand Theft Auto, the definitive... Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy,
the definitive
edition on the Switch.
On the Switch.
Or as I call it, Grand Theft Awful.
That's very good.
I've just been playing GTA 3, and so have you?
That's right. I have not tried any of the other two yet. I mean, I thought I would try and play them in order. There were games that I never owned on the PlayStation 2. I got Grand Theft Auto San Andreas around the time when I got my PlayStation 2, and I played through quite a bit of that, but GTA 3 was and Vice City were like largely played at friends' houses, so I have very sort of limited experience with those.
I was the same. We used to play GTA 3 at friends' houses, and no one would ever do a mission.
No,
you would just go about causing chaos. Which is endlessly fun. But I don't think now, to me, I don't do that at all when I've been playing it.
No, because it's not fun at all.
The novelty of that is completely gone. Like, I remember, like, when we first played it, it just seemed like the most amazing thing. And you couldn't get enough of it, and you like couldn't believe what you could do, like the scope of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's a lot to do with it. Yeah, that it was like the first kind of its time open world city sandbox kind of thing.
I didn't even have a PS2 at the time, but playing that is what made me ask for one for my Christmas from my girlfriend.
I've got a lot of fond memories of it, and I was very much looking for when it got announced for the Switch. I was quite excited about it. I didn't pre-order it, but I did get it on launch day. But there was alarm bells ringing before I'd bought it.
I had mostly, although I got it on PS2, when I was playing this I realised that I'd mostly played it on the PSP, Vice City Stories.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually the same game,
so
was
it's
it?
a different game.
Yeah.
But I actually played that more than I played the PS2 game. I used to play that endlessly because a few friends had PSPs and we used to play multiplayer on that, and that was before GTA Online and stuff, so that was pretty cool. So in my head I feel like I've kind of been comparing this one to that one subconsciously.
Well, I guess that's an interesting starting point, because obviously there has been Grand Theft Auto on handheld platforms. The Switch is, you could consider primarily a handheld platform, and a lot of people have been looking forward to GTA on the Switch, and this kind of got announced fairly recently and folk got quite excited about it. And how would you say it compares to your experiences playing the likes of Vice City on the PSP?
Well, obviously there's been a lot of controversy, and I've kind of been defending it, so that I don't know if that's why, is because in my head I'm comparing it to the PSP version. I mean, I haven't compared them side by side, but people might tell me that the PSP one actually runs better. Like, I wouldn't know. But I thought it'd be good to look at some of the Metacritic reviews as a kind of jumping off point, and we could either agree or disagree and talk about our own experience.
Yeah, okay.
Through the conduit of user reviews on Metacritic.
That sounds productive. Let's do it.
GTA 4 was best. That's their username. They say, incredibly bad, amateurish and worthless remaster. They couldn't even improve past issues, bugs, and also created millions of new bugs. Just because you copy and paste some palm trees all over the map and copy and paste new grass textures doesn't mean you can ask $60/euros for it. This is the biggest joke I have seen in gaming, on the same level as Cyberbug 2077. See what they've done there?
Yeah.
You promise quality of life improvements and much more. Where is this much more? Jesus Christ. This company makes me sick.
I mean, there's a few interesting points touched upon in that. The price point, I think, is definitely fair. I mean, like, it would be. I'm not saying it would be fine if it had been cheaper, but the fact that it's like it was, like, there was, so going back to like what I said about alarm bells ringing, there was very little in the way of pre-release material about it. There was like no like review codes went out seemingly to reviewers like before release. There's like very little gameplay footage or screenshots, particularly of the Switch version. And I was like, there's just something a bit like something worrying about the marketing or lack thereof.
There was just that one trailer,
exactly, and then
in which it looked really amazing.
Aye, it did. It looked great. But it's like, it's Rockstar. Like, Rockstar are known for their perfectionism, their attention to detail. You know, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is fucking like. Do you know what I mean? Like the horses.
And so technically, it's Grove Street Games.
Well, they're responsible for doing the port, and
which is I was thinking, who made Cyberbug?
CD Projekt Red.
I was thinking maybe they should have made up another company and released Cyberpunk under that name, and so that they could have kept the credibility, which I guess is what Rockstar's trying to do.
I think that's what I think, that they can quite easily hide behind this third-party company. But yeah, it's the comparison with Cyberpunk's also very, very interesting. I guess, obviously lacking the amount of hype that was behind Cyberpunk, but it's released about the same time last year to a wave of negative user reviews. So yeah, I mean, you said that you were kind of somewhat of a defender. Having spent a bit more time with it, do you think that's...
None of the performance bugs or issues have got in the way of me playing it or enjoying it so far, personally.
So I before I'd even seen a single review, I bought the game. I didn't pre-order it, but I got it the day it came out. I was like, how bad? Like, I didn't have any sort of worries about performance necessarily. I thought, well, I hoped Rockstar would, do you know what I mean, pull out a good port out the bag. There's no reason why a 20-year-old PlayStation 2 game can't run perfectly on the Switch. It wasn't like, you know, you would expect there to be any issues. But like within minutes of starting the game, I never really comment on stuff like this, but it was like, this felt like it was horrible, like and yeah.
You mean the frame rate?
The frame rate, it's just like, it was really jumpy. Cars were just like appearing like literally feet away from you and stuff like that.
You're playing it docked on the Switch?
Playing it mostly docked, yeah.
Whereas I'm playing it handheld. I mean, my eyesight's pretty good. I mean, there was definitely pop-in, but when I was watching somebody play the PS2 one online, it looked the same sort of pop-in. And that's before they patched it, because right now they have patched it.
It's definitely made a difference. 1.03, I think.
Yeah, so they have patched it. But to me, it hasn't caused me any problems, like I say, but I'm only, I don't know, halfway through GTA 3.
Yeah, same. And do you know what? I'm inclined to agree to a certain extent that it's not really spoiled my enjoyment of Grand Theft Auto 3 as a game. Like, it's still how I remember it.
Have you heard anything about the radio stations? Have they been neutered?
There's maybe a few songs that are missing, but I think that was...
I feel like, I don't know for sure, but I feel like they're looped more often. Like, as much as I love, what's that song? Take it to the limit. Yeah. As much as I love that song, it seems to be on quite a lot.
Yeah,
which I'm still fine with at the moment. But
it does seem like there's less music, or like it's, yeah, I know what you mean. The radio stations seem to be looping more often.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I meant to have a look online and see what the deal was with that. But even at that, I've been enjoying it. I love the drum and bass radio station. Yeah. I've just been having fun. So let's have a look at another comment on the Metacritic. This is from Rockstar is Over. This is it. This is the end of Rockstar. This is just too much. This is unacceptable in so many levels. I can't even find the right words. This so-called definitive edition is one of the most pathetic remasters of all time, especially considering how amazing Rockstar used to be. They were top. They were the best there ever was. They showed the other developers what can be done. I just can't believe that the end of Rockstar would be like this. This remaster is extremely ugly, buggy, and has so many issues with character models, etc. They didn't improve almost anything. AI is worse than ever, no swimming for 3, and Vice City no climbing ladders for San Andreas. No cover system, nothing new. Where are their quality of life improvements and much more? People seem to be annoyed about the much more.
Yeah, the much more thing.
That they promised in the Newswire article. And now they ask $60 for this. Whoever worked on this have only slight experience in Photoshop, that's it. They have no idea how to program new things. This is most amateurish product $1 billion company has ever released. I absolutely don't care that Rockstar North didn't work on this. They hired the studio, they greenlit it, they were okay to release it in a state like this. It's all on them, everything. Now Rockstar Launcher has been down over a day. I can't even play Red Dead Redemption 2 because it asked me to connect to the internet. And I can't do that because Launcher is down. This is ridiculous. They have milked GTA Online over 8 years. And that's all they're capable of now. Yes, Red Dead 2 was great, but that was 4 to 5 years ago. That's a long time. I have zero hope for GTA 6. Absolutely none. I bet it will be short story and extreme focus on online. I mean, who knows? Maybe whole game will be just online. But I'm pretty sure they will design GTA 6 map so it'll be mostly fit for online. This is the end of Rockstar. This is the end of one of my favourite video game companies of all time.
That is the most dramatic review, I think, user comment I've seen on anything. Yeah, I mean...
So what do you think? Agree or disagree?
I mean... It's a little bit...
A lot of that wasn't about this game.
I mean...
This guy's just angry at Rockstar.
He's very angry at Rockstar. Like, I think he... I don't know. I don't know what he was expecting, to be honest.
I mean, you'd expect someone whose username is Rockstar is over to be a bit more open-minded.
He was basically saying that they hadn't added things that were in like other games into previous games, like the ability to swim into Grand Theft Auto 3 and stuff like that. It's like
I didn't expect that.
I wouldn't have expected stuff like that, and I'm not sure that I would have wanted anything
it would
like that.
Probably break the game.
It will, exactly, and that's exactly why you can't do it. You know, you still can't steal planes or helicopters. Or
the sentence kind of ran together, but he says and Vice City, so you can't swim in Vice City. Is that?
I don't think so. No. Swimming was something that was put in for San Andreas, and there was stuff to do in the water. I think there was like stuff under the water that you could find.
And then it's no climbing ladders for San Andreas.
No climbing ladders for San Andreas. What does that even mean?
Well, it means you can't climb ladders in San Andreas.
Could you?
You previously couldn't, I guess, and now you still can't. The same as the swimming,
right? So
in the other games. So he's really been sitting there hoping. God, I hope they bring in San Andreas so you can climb ladders.
Yeah, and you were going to be able to swim in GTA 3, and I mean, like, it is, like, to be fair, it's quite annoying when you're playing GTA 3 and your car goes on fire and you're trying to jump out but you can't. You've got to wait and just, like, stop the car and get out.
That has
Whereas in
me.
Like Vice City and stuff, I'm sure you can
and
jump out the car.
And the idea that if you go in the water, you know you're going to die straight away.
Yeah, but that's just...
It makes it a bit scarier.
Yeah, but that is what the game was like, and I don't think, like you're saying, I think it would break the game.
I think only a fool would have expected them to have changed that.
Exactly. I would agree with that.
I feel like Rockstar is over.
But in terms of quality of life improvements, I think that on the Switch anyway, I think that the gyro controls are a welcome addition. I think that they work pretty well. For the most part, I will say that. So I generally play invert Y-axis, but it seems to, depending on what weapon you've got selected, that seems to change. Like have you noticed this? Like,
I haven't noticed that.
So I play it inverted, and when you've got the Uzi selected, it's kind of how you would expect it. And then when I change to the sniper rifle or the other gun, the AK-47, it's the other way round, and I have to go in and change it. So it's really there's no consistency between.
That would be annoying.
But it's annoying as fuck.
I don't change I don't invert it anyway. So.
But then surely I wondered if it was like if you don't play it inverted, is it the same?
Yeah, I haven't noticed that. I did notice was the motion controls worked fine, but then on handheld they were a bit glitchy. And after reading on Reddit, people said you had to keep the handheld held upright and they would keep working. But I have a feeling that maybe they did patch that on the new patch, and that's not so much of a problem, because when the motion controls are working, I feel like that's a game changer. Like it totally changes the game, as opposed to just playing a game where you're doing auto aim and just auto aiming and auto aiming. The shooting's kind of pointless.
Yeah, it does make it a bit harder. I find like with Grand Theft Auto 3, the auto aim was very forgiving. It kind of made up for the clunky controls and stuff. You know, like you could just kind of hit a button, lock onto the nearest enemy, and like there was no real skill required to shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Whereas this like essentially turns it into a proper third-person shooter
game. Yeah.
Which is
whereas
great.
It would always auto aim onto the wrong person as well. Like you would, famously, you would lock onto a pedestrian instead of the person that was shooting you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm stuck on this mission just now, and it's kind of like it's the Grand Theft Aero mission where you go to the airport, you go to steal the dodo, and then you have to go to a construction site, and it's like I just keep getting shot by enemies because I've got it set to gyro aim and manual control, and I'm just getting my arse kicked because it's quite narrow corridors and stuff. It's like
that's what I didn't know once it got harder, if the gyro aims would hold up or if it would be better to just switch back to
well, that's what I'm debating just now. But I'd like, on the whole, I think it's a welcome addition, and I think they just iron out this thing with the inverted aim. It'll be fine.
Well, the fact is that they are actively patching it on all platforms. It can only get better, I guess.
Well, yeah, and that's the dream, is that by the time that I've kind of worked my way through Grand Theft Auto 3, they'll have hopefully patched Vice City and San Andreas to a point where they'll be, significantly improved. But yeah, it's with the latest patch, I definitely noticed the draw distance, which was one of my major gripes. Like that is a lot better, but it's still like driving's still a chore because you don't know when it's going to stutter or jump or the frame rate's going to skip, and you just like I end up crashing quite a lot more than what I would.
I've found driving great. Like I don't know if I'm just better at games now, or if that's because it's a completely different engine. I would have to play it, but I feel like before, when I tried to drive about, I was just crashing all the time, banging into things, whereas now the cars feel snappier. I mean, the controls must be completely different, I guess.
And bearing in mind, the PS2 was like the analog controls in the PS2 are nowhere near as good as even say like the Pro Controller, or like I'm using the 8-bit DO SNES controller to play it, and the motion controls work great on that, and the joysticks feel good. Like it does feel like how I remember on the PS2. Like when I'm driving about, it doesn't feel like different. It doesn't feel like they've remade the game. Like, do you know what I mean? It does feel like the same game, just running a lot worse than you would expect.
If I was playing it on an Xbox Series X and I was expecting it to look like the bee's knees, then I'd be a lot more disappointed than I am playing it on the Switch, where I expect compromises anyway. And again, I'm playing it handheld, so I'm a lot more forgiving. Whereas if I had the latest generation console and I'd paid the £60 and I was playing it on the telly and it looks like a kind of half-assed mobile version,
I mean, which it is. I mean, it is.
Then I'd be more angry. But for a Switch, as a Switch owner,
we're used to getting like shitty. But we're also we're also used to getting some really fucking good ports as well, like really good ports.
But I feel like this holds up to the good ports on the Switch.
It really doesn't. It honestly doesn't. Like,
because I saw someone saying you'd be better playing Lego City Stories on the Switch, but I played that on the Switch and it ran horribly, much worse than this runs.